Hi, lovely people. We are here in the background.
Hello,
Nearly forgot
grooving
to
out.
actually pull ourselves up. Hello, hello, hello.
Thank you
Hope
all for joining
everyone is
us.
doing
It's out
well.
there. Those that have not subscribed, but you're just sitting out there in the YouTube world looking on. Thank you for joining us. We'd love you to join because we'd love you to interact with us as well and uh, let us hear what you're thinking as well. How you, Deb?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, welcome to another time of gym time. Get your motivation. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. Are you, Paul?
Oh,
I
very
look
much so.
forward to it every week, though.
No, last week was so good. I really enjoyed last week as well, and then I could say I enjoyed 2 weeks ago, and then so on and so forth. Because
Absolutely.
it's one of those that when these subjects come up, it's
Mm.
like you know where did they come from? See, this one we didn't. I didn't do any studying for. I didn't go and find out what other people thought on this one. Funny enough, um,
Mhm.
because obviously I have my thoughts on this. This is another chunky subject.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for those of you who have never been on our podcast, and even those that have been, we will reintroduce ourselves and introduce ourselves to those who are just joining us. We are brother and sister duo, Maurice, my brother,
AKA.
aka Paul. So, you'll hear me calling him Paul the whole time. We come from Caribbean families, and so they will call you different names. I'm actually Debbie, which is a nickname for Deborah, but I kind of did well, really. Kind of
Yeah.
kept it the same. So yeah, we are a brother and sister duo, and we really look forward to coming on and sharing with you. Every week we do a disclaimer, which is really us just sharing that we are not professionals in the sense that we don't have degrees on sex education.
I got someone outside my door. Hold on a second.
Oh, hold on, who's that? Tell them to jump on and hear what you've got to say. So he's muted his mic. Oh, someone's just handed him something. I'm just being nosy
Yeah,
about now. Share.
a bag of money.
Yeah.
It's a
What is
delivery
that?
from my wife. All I could
Oh,
see was his phone light up outside. I thought, who the own this?
Amazon.
It is.
Right. So you guys, this is real. It's going out live. This is just how it is. We're going to be streaming to podcasts, streaming to different platforms where you'll just be able to hear our voices, so you won't be able to see us. And so yeah, this is live. Everything is as it is. We try not to edit it, because we just like to keep it real like that. But yeah, as I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted by the Amazon driver. Yeah, we do a disclaimer every week just to share with you that we share our stories, share our experiences, our journeys. We don't say to you, you have to do the things that we suggest. We will just suggest things. We will share what we've done, what's worked for us, what hasn't worked for us, and you guys take it from there. But please try something different. If you are going through challenges and so forth in your relationship and you're getting the same results, well, the only thing you can do is try something different. We're on here to speak about love, relationships, marriage, sex, you name it. We're just going to keep it real. So yeah, that's me. Over to you, bro.
Yes, well, as my sister said, rightfully, it's our little disclaimer that we're not held accountable if you try these things and they don't work. As I say all the time, our suggestions are there. You can try them. You can fine tune them to what meets your requirement and your need and your situation that you're in. Um, if it doesn't work, don't come try brock with cut with neck because you know we're not claiming to be have doctorships in these areas, but we do have a vast amount of experience
Absolutely.
that we've got along the way, good, bad, and indifferent. You know,
Hmm.
so please don't try and beat the messenger. You know,
Yeah, we're all on a
you
journey here.
that's what I was going to say. We're on a journey and we all have a story to tell. Please be interactive with us. We do live videos with everybody else or live guests. So if you do ever feel, you know what, I've got a subject that I want to talk about, by all means, send us a message or leave it in the chat. Because after when we come off air or even on air, and we'll gladly cover it as well. You know, we're all united as one to try to help each other. Each one help one. In this case,
Absolutely.
you help more.
Caring
All
is
right.
sharing. I used to say that
Absolutely.
to the children that I used to work with. Caring is sharing because they used to be
You
so mean to each other.
you
If
didn't
you
say
see me
your
looking
famous
down,
word tonight. You didn't say your famous
I
words.
know, I know. I bet you don't remember what they are. That's why you're saying it. What
No.
I you remember?
What I don't know, I'll find out. What I do
No,
know.
what I know, I will share with you.
Go on.
So I don't know everything, but what I do know, I will share with you.
There you
So
go.
there you
There you
go.
go. I just
Um,
wanted you to say it.
I know you did. I'm just trying
Like I really
to.
remembered.
I'm just
So
trying to send this out.
tonight's subject, as you can see, is: do you need to share all your past with your partner? You know,
So that's not meant to be PASS. It's meant to be PAST. That was my misspelling. So I'll go back in and I'll edit it. But it's your past,
yeah,
not
T, yeah, yeah,
past.
yeah.
I'm
Pass,
not from up
you pass,
north.
you
I'm not from
pass.
north at all. Yeah,
I am
past.
though.
Yeah, but you
Yeah,
know what? I tend to do that quite a bit, to be quite honest,
yeah,
in just typing, but it is a typo. My apologies.
yeah.
Do you need to share all of your past with your partner? Do you need to do that? So that's what we're going to be discussing today. And I hope that you guys are going to be interactive. We love to hear what you've got to say in the chat. We read out all of your chats. And please let us know where you're chiming in from. Did you say
Yeah.
hi to them in the in?
Yes, I
Oh,
did. I mean, we've got our sister Sonia. We've got a new guest, which is Jonathan. He'd come.
Hi, Johnny friend.
I met him today for the first time. He
Oh,
came
that's
round
cool.
to our house. Um, you know, God is just doing some wonderful things, and uh, he said you'd tune in, and so he's
And so he
now.
is
Yes, he
faithful.
is indeed. Yes, he is.
Yeah,
The man
that's
of his word.
awesome.
Yes, yes, yes. And then we hope you enjoy it as well. And do listen to the others. Do share. Do subscribe. You know, tell your friends. If you've got anybody else that you feel might benefit on from this, you know, you can send them a message while we're on now, to listen in or
And
tune
join
in, as
us.
they say. Yeah.
Absolutely. So
So
let's get cracking then. Do you, Maurice, aka Paul, do you think that you need to share all of your past with your wifey?
you see now, my wife knows almost everything anyway. I mean, when I say almost, it's if I remember another bit, then I'll tell her, or she might overhear me speaking to someone and she say, "Oh, I didn't know that." I say, "Oh,
Hmm.
okay." It just wasn't one of those things where it was a subject matter, you know. But then if it comes up that I'm talking about my experience to someone and she says she doesn't know, then you know I'll say, "Yeah, oh yeah, this blah 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 blah." However, what I've learned through my experiences, and I think that there is so much that you can say that it can cause problems. I think that if you had a, a you had an illness, I think you should share it. I think
Hmm.
that if it's a case that you had a STD, I think you should share it. If it's a case it's something that's a lifetime thing, I think it is, and it's not an easy subject at the end of the day. However, I think it should be shared. But there are some things that you had a bad relationship with somebody. We have a tendency, I had a tendency to break it down. And I'm breaking down every single stone, rolling them over. I'm even picking up the cement and sharing about the cement in between. That wasn't necessary to
Necessary.
say, you know.
Yeah.
I had somebody who was telling me something one time, and then, you know, they got a phone call from this particular person, and I got vexed because
Mm,
all I can think about was the thing that they told me, and this person's on the phone, and I know they must be flirting, it must be. And even
mm,
if they was, it was down to the person I was with to put them in their place to say, hold on, listen,
absolutely.
you can't be calling me honey on the phone. You can't be calling me sugar on the phone. You can't be calling me the name that you used to call me because I'm with somebody else. A matter of fact, you know what? If you're phoning me to have a conversation that is supposed to be leading to me and you meeting up, bye. you know.
Mm,
But I think that it's important to speak about important issues, but to break down I had someone one time, and we were talking about this the other day, asked me, how many women have you slept with? So I said, I don't know. So they said, okay, more than this amount? I said, notice I never said no number.
I know. When you share with me, you was telling me the numbers, I was just like,
Yeah. And they said to me, this amount? I said, I don't know. Is it more than that though? Or that? I said, more than. So they said, more than this much? So I said,
and it went higher and higher.
yeah. And it went higher and higher and
And
higher.
it weren't by like 3 or 2, it's like by
No.
tens, and it was like tens, and then it gets to 20s, and
Yeah. And it was like, you know what, in the end, when they were quizzing me, I'm thinking to myself, you know what? When they said the high number that they said, I said, yeah,
mm,
probably,
no,
you
you
know.
was like, well, you asked big man
Yeah,
questions
but
for.
but it's too much information because my past is my past. Unless it's the case that, I'm still living that kind of life, or that I've got some kind of, you might as well just ask me if I had a disease. Do you have any diseases because you slept around? Did you sleep
Yeah, but
around?
supposing that they was asking you to find out whether you was, well versed, whether you was experienced.
Well, if that's the case, then ask the question direct. You know, do you have a
Yeah,
lot of
but some people
experience,
think
etc.?
that the more relationships that you've had is the more experience that you
And
are.
it's not
So
necessarily the case. You
yeah,
know,
I know, but I'm saying that
yeah.
because I always like to see the other side of the coin. I always like to think of a positive thing that
This
somebody might be trying to get out of it.
I know
But
this
in
person
your
wasn't.
situation, it was
I know
something
they weren't.
different, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was the insecurity that they had that they were asking from that perspective. You know, have you been with? You know, okay. So in the end, when I said yeah, I slept with this amount, and they had a high number because I just said yes because I just thought myself, well, what's the question? Why are you asking me all this question? You know,
Mm,
and it didn't stop them from still seeing me. Yeah,
mhm,
they didn't then all of a sudden. But what it did, it left a seed in their head with their insecurity, you know?
mm,
Like, okay, so either, like you're saying, he's very experienced, or he's just a whore,
mhm,
you know? And I
yeah,
need to be careful, you know?
mhm,
But then if it's the case you need to be careful and you're going to be walking around with this insecurity about my past, then you might as well not be with me.
yeah. But
Yeah.
I think that when people are young and when they're new to relationships, you tend to do things like that. As you mature and get older, you tend to know the do's and the don'ts. But as a young person, you tend to ask those questions that you don't know is going to impact and affect you in the relationship,
Yeah.
whether it's because you project onto that person or whether because it just makes you feel totally, insecure. You have no idea what it's going to do, but you think I need to know this information for whatever reason. You don't really know as a young person. Because I remember being asked that when I was young, and I was just like, no, how dare you? I felt insulted, about how many
Yeah.
people have I slept with. I was like, why are you asking me that question? Because I was quite young. I was just you know, like I can count it on my one hand. Do you know what I mean? I was just like, why are you asking me that? I felt insulted because I was young. Whoops, my light's gone.
The
Yeah, I
thing
was
is
young, and I and I thought to myself, I just didn't see the reason why they
the
was
relevance.
actually asking me. Yeah, I didn't understand why they was asking me that question.
Because
Um,
you could still sleep with one person and have a vast amount of experience because you've been with them for a period of time, whether that person
Absolutely,
was experienced or they wasn't, but together you've grown and you've learned, different, let's say, sexual things, etc., etc. So if you're wondering if someone's got, sexual experience, from my perspective, it actually doesn't matter because you make it up as you go along, and every partner, that you're, or the person that you're with, doesn't they're not exactly the same as the person that you was with before. You can't
absolutely.
think that, oh yeah, well, that's what they're gonna like because that person liked it. So you're always forever learning and experience. You'll probably do things that maybe be similar, but it's never going to be the same because this is a different person. So
Yeah,
that's why I think that it's not important to be breaking down everything about what you've been through in the past relationships. What do you
Mm.
guys think out there? Please, do you
Yeah, let
agree
us know what
or
your
do you
thoughts are.
disagree? What's your thoughts out there?
Yeah, what's your thoughts? I don't think it's an agree or disagree, because I think that there are some things that you are going to need to share with your partner about your
Yeah.
past.
No, but
But
if it's everything,
I don't
everything.
think that you need to share everything. And the thing is, we're coming from the same household, so we've been very open and transparent. That's the way how we've been brought up. Our mum was quite transparent with us and quite open in certain areas as far as we was concerned. And I think that the type of person, because we talk on a level, the type of people that we are, I'm speaking for both of us, is that we're quite open and transparent. But that honesty and being transparent can come back to bite you, because
Yeah.
people who are not as open and transparent gets information, they use it as ammunition to shoot you down. And I
Mm,
think that that's part of the reason for me personally why I haven't shared everything about my past. I've shared the fundamental things, the things that really matter, I
mm,
believe, within a relationship. And then also from a perspective of, I don't know what is going on with this today, also from a perspective of being asked. So there have been times when I've been asked, and like I just said, when I was young, I was asked, have I had lots of partners? But I think that I know that they was asking really from an experience point of view, to find out whether I was experienced, because I had a child. So,
mm.
but that didn't equate to me being experienced. That
That's right.
just equated to me having a child.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, I could have had sex the one time and had my son. So
Hmm.
they because I had a child, the assumption was that I had sexual partners. Do you get what I mean? That
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm mature in that area, and I certainly wasn't mature in that area. Having a child young made people think that you are mature, and again, that's not true. But I learned that, and I shared this on one of the other podcasts, that when I was going through challenges with my ex-husband, I remember going to our pastor at the time, and he said, "Why did you feel the need to divulge all all of this information? There are certain things that you need to hold back." And I just thought to myself, why would I hold back things from somebody who I see as a life partner, that I'm
That's right.
planning, we're planning to have children together, all of those kind of things. I just didn't understand. But
Understand.
as
Yeah.
time went on, I understood that some of the things that I shared caused insecurities,
Yeah.
but I wasn't to know that. It was only afterwards that I found out that these were the things, like you said, seeds that were sown that caused insecurities to actually, spring up. And so, I think that we're both on the same page in terms of, do we need to share all of our past? I don't think that we need to share all of our past, but I certainly believe that there are going to be fundamental things that we need to share. So,
Yeah.
again, I shared a few weeks ago about a friend of mine that didn't share that she had an STD,
Yeah.
and that totally ruined the relationship that she was in, because you not sharing something like that is, it is a lifetime STD, herpes, it's lifetime. So you will pass this on to your partner, but she didn't share that with the person. Ultimately, that caused a lack of trust in the relationship.
Mm.
And when the lack of trust happens, it's kind of like, what else haven't you been sharing with me? What
And
else are you hiding from me?
that's inevitable. It will happen like that. Well, you didn't tell me that, and look how deep that is. So what else is there?
Absolutely. It's like, well, what else are you hiding from me? And then it just spiraled. And so I think that there are things that you are going to share with your lifetime partner. But also, I believe that as your relationship becomes more solid
Go
and
on.
there's more
Mm.
trust, that you feel the liberty to share even more. What do you think?
I think that's so true. I think you need to understand your partner who you're with, because you, me personally, I think that there are blocks. If you stop and you look, there's the courting period, you know, there's that then you decide to get married. There's that part there when now you're married, you know, or you're engaged, you know, you're getting serious. And while you're looking at these different uh, um, blocks of changes that are happening in your relationship, it should lead to you opening up more and
Hmm.
sharing. You know, again, the knowing who you're with, you start seeing whether or not this man or this woman is insecure, and they've got these insecurities. You
Hmm.
know, so you know then that there's certain things that you either definitely need to say now because they're the insecurities, or those things that you definitely don't say because of the insecurities.
Right.
You know, because you have to weigh it up. If I don't say anything here, what can happen down the road?
Right.
Or, you know, if I do say it, the outcome. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes in some situations it's damned if you do and damned if you
Damned
don't.
if you don't. It's
Yeah,
potluck.
yeah,
Absolutely. Because if you was to divulge and share with someone that you went into bankruptcy, for argument's sake, some people will be thinking, okay, you are certainly not good with money. So I
mm,
am not going to join my money with you because you've been bankrupt before. And I
that's right.
don't want to be pulled down with you if you was to be bankrupt again. But because
Hmm.
you've gone into bankruptcy once doesn't mean that it's gonna happen to you twice. So if you was to say, do you know what, I'm not gonna share that with that person, and then they find out that you've been bankrupt, they can turn around and say, well, you didn't divulge that to me because you knew that if you shared it with me, I wasn't going to invest in, say, a property with you. I
Yeah,
wasn't going to get a car with you, or stuff like that. So I think that there are certain things that people will do and say at different stages. So
yeah,
if for argument's sake, you got these people and they've been with each other for the last 5 years, they've bought a property together, bought a car together, managed their money really well,
hmm,
that person has seen enough things that has happened within the relationship from a financial standpoint, and have built trust. So if you
yeah,
now turn around after 5 years and you had a conversation, you was just like, you know what, once upon a time I was bankrupt. They'll be like, really? How did that happen?
hmm,
They wouldn't have it against you. But if you
yeah,
said it earlier on in the relationship, there's a strong
hmm,
possibility that they would hold that against you. But
hmm,
if you've already proved yourself, and then you start to divulge that information, and maybe I'm just talking from my perspective, if you shared it with me afterwards down the road, I would be surprised, and I'll be like, how on earth did you get bankrupt? I'd be more intrigued to find out how you was bankrupt and how you made it back and how
yeah,
you're now
hmm,
financially
hmm.
more stable. What do you think?
So it's funny you saying that. You know, I wasn't. I remember that, especially the jobs that I had, especially one in particular. I was making money, money. Listen, I was making money, and I was an idiot. That's what I was. You
Hmm.
know, and you know, I wasn't. There's times I was married and times I wasn't, but I just spend money like it was going out of fashion. You know,
Hmm.
and I just wasn't good with money. But
Yeah.
prior to that, there was a stage where I was. For me, I said, "Come on, you need to save money." I remember saving £500 a month, and I'm going and I'm going. Then I was single. Then all of a sudden, I got into a relationship with somebody, and I was being the good boyfriend. You know,
Hmm.
she needed some stuff in the house. She'd moved, needed some stuff from IKEA, needed this, needed that, and she's not working, but I'm working. You know, and I'm the one who I'm spending, and I'm reaching into these savings until there
Hmm.
wasn't no more savings.
Wow.
And then I went back to the way of spending, even after her, to spending frivolously on whatever I decided that I wanted. It's only when I became unemployed and
Hmm.
I had a debt relief order, which is like bankruptcy as well, that I learned the value of saving. Excuse me,
Mm.
I learned this value of, you know, taking £5 and saving a fiver. You know,
Hmm.
I'm all for this. That there's people who are unemployed and they say, I can't save anything because this money isn't enough.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. You really, really can, because that's what I remember. I remember when I had a certain amount saved, and I'm saying, well, look at me, and I'm unemployed. what would I have done? What, if I had the same amount of money that I was earning and
Yeah,
saving like this, how much more would I have had? But I needed to take that step. I needed that kick in life that took me down for me to understand the value of A, myself, and B, about rainy days. Mummy used to say about, you know,
you did.
rainy day will come, on the better save all the money. And it would be like, oh, all right, mum,
I
yeah.
know. I
Yeah.
never really started saving until I was in my 30s anyway, late
Yeah.
30s.
Do you see what I mean?
But the
And
the
but we
but
heard
the
this from
seed
when we were
was
in our
there.
teens. We heard this from in our teenage years, even
Yeah, the
before
seed
that.
was
When we,
there. Even
when
before, because we
I
had
was gonna say that.
we had our
Yeah,
post office book with our
yeah.
savings.
And we what we used to do is that there was a Greyhound track where we used to live, and we used to look after people's cars. Say, well, look after your car, please, mate. Look after your car. So it would be our patch. Everybody had a patch, you know, and it wasn't just us. We had other friends in the area, and we're looking up. That was our little pocket money,
It
you know.
was.
But we would go and take it to the corner shop. There's
You're
an,
not gonna
there's
say
an
what
inside joke there.
you're not gonna say what Mummy used to say, innit?
Yeah, there's an inside joke there, but we can't share it. Yeah.
Can't share. It's
Hi,
not
cuz. Hi, cuz.
politically correct.
Yes, it's not. But we used to go to the corner shop and spend all our money. you know. But had we, and our mum was talking about saving from back then.
Yeah.
You
She
know,
was telling us what you should take out from the savings. So really, it was a tithe, really, wasn't it, Paul? Because she used
something
to
like
say,
that.
save 10 pence from the pound.
Yeah, yeah. You know, never listen. And so not listening to that, you have a tendency to just do what you want to do, and that's the same thing about getting into a relationship and you're not very good with money. I think personally, that's something to share. Yeah,
Absolutely.
from up front, that what I'm not. That conversation should be, it should be there. I don't know how it comes together, how it can come together, because I'm not going to put a scenario. Everybody is different, but to say, I've not really been great with money. How are you with money?
Yeah,
And
the reason why that's a good idea is because um you will be able to bounce off of each other and balance
that's
out
right.
things. So
Hmm.
if you're really not good with money, it's good if you allow your partner who possibly might be better with money to
Hmm.
manage the finances, because ultimately they will find out. They will
Yeah,
they
yeah,
will find
yeah.
out.
Where's the money this week? Um,
The pub.
I went. Somebody at work, I did owe some money, and I gave them, and they're finding the bookie things in your pocket.
Hmm.
I think that's another thing. If you're addicted to
Yeah.
gambling, or whether online or bookies or whatever else it is, I think it's something that you've got to share, because it will become the biggest issue that can break your relationship, break your marriage down, if you're spending frivolously on things that are not necessary as well. You're
Yeah,
just buying
or
because you
with
see this.
women,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
with women,
yeah.
like some people think that retail therapy is not an addiction, that it's not a problem. But there are people who get their houses repossessed because they are constantly online, like as it is now. I know people from back in the day that used to do online shopping on QVC and those kind of channels, and it became a problem. It became a big problem. So it's not just bookies, it's not just drinking or drugs or anything like that. It could be that woman that is always getting a package, like you just got one, um, always getting a package, delivered to their house. That can
Mm,
bankrupt somebody.
yeah.
So I do think that things like that is important for you to share. It could be their credit card, that they spend a lot on their credit. Do you know what one of the biggest things is, though? Is debt, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like people coming into relationships and they come in with a whole heap of debt, and their
Hmm.
partner doesn't know nothing about it. Now, I
Hmm.
think that that's one of the fundamental things that you ought to share with
You
that
ought
person.
to be sharing. Yeah. So it is about
There's a lot,
knowing
though, that you should
what
share.
what you. Hmm?
There is a lot that you should share.
There's a lot that you should share, but I think things like how many people you slept with, it's not necessary. You're with this person now, you know. What does it matter? If you're asking if you got a lot of experience, you can say, well, I have a fair bit of experience, you know. a fair bit. What is experience really? Who's got more experience than anybody? You know?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, because I've been driving for 20 years. You can become complacent in and lazy in the way that you drive, one-handedness. And that's the day you crash. Where
Mm-hmm.
somebody, for the last 2 years, they've got the two hands on the steering wheel. You
Like
know,
Mr. Bean.
yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. But using a silly scenario, but it's the truth. I mean, I I I think that what you were saying earlier on, where someone is not really good with money or not good in an area, that other person might be. Then again, they might not be.
You might not
And both
be.
of you got to wake up and see that, you know what, you're in a relationship now, and you can't spend money in the way that you used to,
Yeah.
because you make 2.5 grand, they make a grand, or they make 3 grand and you make two. Well, we just spend however we want. You've got to come to a relationship. See, me personally, how I was, if I was with somebody and there was a need, whether it be shopping, whether it be whatever it is, I would just jump on that. I literally was earning more money than this person. So I'm not asking them to give me any money. We're just gonna spend. We're just gonna go get the shopping, we're gonna pay the bills, or it might be that they are paying their bills, yeah, if I was in their house, as I was at times. But I'm catering for whatever need that there is else in other areas. I mean, do you think that I've got a retail problem? I just bought myself 3 pairs of shoes.
Sometimes I do think you got a retail problem, actually, Paul.
Yeah, do
But
you
we
really?
will deal with that offline, okay? We will have our normal counselling session
do,
at
you-
the
do,
end
you-
of
do,
the week.
oh, don't tell them that you're my counselor. Oh gosh, no. Do you know what it is? If I buy something and it's really comfortable,
You'll
I
buy
like to
three of
wear
the
it again.
same.
Yeah, well, I've got different colors because I wear different color clothing as well. So they're very comfortable. I know that they're going to be there, and I know that I'm going to wear them all. That's the thing. What I like is that I will wear all of them. I ain't leaving nothing. Sit down.
This this is normal characteristics of somebody who does a lot of retail therapy. They start to justify. And I didn't say do you wear them all, Paul. You had to emphasize I buy them and I
No,
buy them and I wear them all.
do you
And
know? You know why I said that? Because there's people who buy a whole heap of stuff and it's sitting there a year, 2 years, sitting there.
absolutely,
Mounting up and buying more
absolutely.
stuff.
You will
Mm-mm,
find that people that do retail therapy, they buy things not because they need them, but rather because they just want them. They're addicted to actually buying rather than actually having the item for use. Why are you laughing? Because you know that that's you in it.
no,
Sonia's even laughing at you. But really, what I wanted to say as well, off of the back of that, is that if you're sharing all of your life with someone, like, you know the people that you've been with, your mindset, your attitude, all of those kind of things, don't you think that some of those things will work against you? The reason why I say that is because I remember I shared something with a previous partner, and when we kind of got into the crux of our relationship, so being in a relationship so long, and and they said to me, "Oh, you're gonna do exactly what you did with the other person." And I thought to myself, why would you say that when you're somebody completely different? The only way I'm going to handle you the same way is if you handle me the same way. But they logged that, and they was ready to say to me, they actually said to me, "You did that in a previous relationship, and that's what you're going to do." And I was deeply offended because I thought to myself, what makes you think that I haven't grown? What makes you think that this situation warrants me doing that? And it was like you only took the negative, you forgot the whole backstory
that's
of
right.
what actually happened,
Mm-hmm.
why I said and done. So let me give you, for instance, I was talking to someone recently, and they had a divorce, yeah, and they said that the person that they're now with doesn't trust them because when they was with the other person and they had a divorce, they got the money, the house, the kids, and everything. So in their estimation now, you will take me to the cleaners. So now
Wow.
I don't want to buy a house with you.
Yeah.
I don't want to invest with you because I saw how you took that person to the cleaners. You're going to do exactly the same with me.
Hmm.
And I think that that's the wrong mindset to actually
It,
have.
it
Every
is.
situation is going to be different. But
I
they
mean,
logged it. They logged
and
it
there was
as
a
a
lot.
negative.
I remember going through a divorce and all my divorces, and to be honest, I could have had half.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could have had half. I remember I mentioned something to somebody because they weren't being fair, and I thought, you know what, nah, you can't be handling me like this. So I said to them, you know what, by rights, yeah, I'm entitled to half. And they
Mm,
went crazy on me. I
mhm.
mean, when I say the whole head, you see, like I got this up here, the head just pop off. Yeah, the brain was just listen. Yeah, lasers were coming, out, and it was like, listen, I'm just saying to you, look how nasty you are to me, and I could, if I want to, have half. That's my
Mhm.
entitlement for marrying you. You know,
Yeah, it
and
starts
and,
at
and,
it
and vice
starts
versa.
it starts with half,
Yeah,
but then they take into consideration
yeah, take
everything
into
else.
consideration other thing. But I didn't want anything. I didn't take
Mhm,
anything. I took what was mine. Yeah.
mhm.
And what I didn't remember, you keep it.
What, the
Whether it
three
be a
boxer
piece of
shorts?
theatre. Oh wow. Wow.
Sorry, I
Wow.
had to put that in there.
Wow. Look how my sister's carrying on. Huh? Huh? 3 boxer shorts. Yeah, because those
The
are the
three
three that
boxer
I
shorts.
bought. Everything. I
Mm,
bought you those boxer shorts. I'm
and then
taking them.
leave them
Yeah, but
here.
baby, they're soiled. I don't care. They're mine.
Leave them behind.
It's funny because saying that, I remember being with somebody and I bought them gifts and they bought me gifts, and when they broke up with me, or when we broke up, because it wasn't me or them, we broke up. They wanted, my stuff, but the stuff that they bought me, and they're giving me back the stuff that I bought them. I said, what am I going to do with this? They said, you can give it to the next woman. I said, why would I do that? I bought you these things when things were great and wonderful. They're my tokens of love, gifts for you. You know,
Yeah.
you're telling me about you want back this and you want. I said you ain't getting nothing back. You bought it for me. It's mine. You understand me? Like I see. Next thing I see, man rolling around in my coat and my watch on.
Isn't
Yeah,
it?
I for mug him. No, not really.
And calling himself Maurice.
Yeah, yeah.
Your
No,
twin
it's not right. You know. Uh, no, they're dying with
with
laughter.
laughter.
you know, but it's the thing is, like I said, we're going back to going off subject, but on back on subject. Gotta be when you're talking about serious issues and stuff. Is you got to be transparent with it. You know, and
Yeah,
if
but
this
don't let
person,
me let me just throw this in there. But don't you think that you being transparent, forget about what it is, you being transparent, that can also go against you.
yes, I do think it can go against me,
So
but
what would you what would you what would you advise somebody then?
again, it's that balance of what it is that you're talking about. Again, it's about knowing the person that you're with. You see, there's always telltale signs. There will always
Mhm,
be telltale signs with men, with women. It don't matter. There's going to be a man that, you know, he might even drop it out of like it's a joke. "Oh, you're always out with your friends, isn't it? Yeah.
mhm,
He's telling you something. He's
mhm,
telling you, I'm watching this, and you spend more time doing that than over there with them than you are with me. Or he might say, oh, I didn't know you got a lot of male friends, you know?
mhm,
Oh yeah, 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 I got a lot of male friends. Eh. But instead of just thinking, you know what, they had a pass. If it's the case, then that you want to know something, then ask. And I don't think you
mhm.
should lie. But then
Yeah.
then again, I think there's certain things you don't have to disclose at the same time. So, like for instance, I was very
Oh,
much the sort of person where I would ask, so did you sleep with that person?
mhm,
You know, as long as they're not allowing that person to still talk to them in the same manner, and you're talking to them in pillar talk, it's none of my business.
mm,
It's none of my business. Yeah. If every single week that person is still ringing, I have that right to turn around, especially if you're my wife or the husband with some woman ringing, to say, you know what, I'm a bit uncomfortable with that person always ringing you. I don't know if
Yeah.
you had anything with the person, but they, it's just every single moment of the day, you know.
I've had that where not somebody calling me every so often or whatever, but I would say, for instance, I saw someone and I was asked, have you had something with that person? I was like, no. And it was said, but there's this chemistry,
Yeah,
there's this, what do they say? There's this, it's like a aura, there's something,
yeah,
you
mm,
know, that is going on there. Like I can feel something. And I was just like, well, no, what you can feel is the fact that that person, not me, that person really checked for me back in the day. And then
mhm,
instantly it was like, what, you didn't check for them? And I was like, no, they checked for me. And they was like, well, I think that that person still likes you. And I said,
mhm,
well, that's their business. That ain't my
yeah,
business.
yeah,
That's their
yeah,
business. That ain't me. Do you know what
mhm,
I mean? So
yeah,
what they was feeling was something from that
was real.
person,
Yeah, yeah,
but it wasn't me. And then
mhm,
what was bizarre was that the guy, when he sees me and I'm by myself, you will come and greet me properly. Do you get what I mean? Because
mhm,
we've been buddies for years. You'll come and greet me properly. When I'm with my husband, you avoid me.
mm. And that's a
And
good telltale.
yeah, and I just thought to myself, like, I genuinely just thought, oh, you haven't seen me or whatever, until that particular day
Mm,
when my husband said, have you had something with that person? Because I can feel like chemistry kind of thing
mm,
that's going on there. And I said, it's funny that you say that. They liked me back in the day. And I said it just as simple as that. It
yeah,
weren't like,
mhm,
oh, well, it wasn't no stutter. It weren't nothing like that. I was just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
funny you say that. They liked me back in the day. And then he was
But
like, I
you
saw.
wasn't aware that they still was burning the candle for you.
It was only afterwards I thought to myself, I wonder on those occasions whether you did see me, because
Yeah,
I'm quite an observant person. And then certain things played back in my mind, and I thought,
yeah,
that was the look that you gave me. You
mm,
saw me, but you pretend that you didn't see me, like you just saw me. Oh, you're right. How you
yeah,
doing? Oh,
mm, mm,
nice,
mm,
nice one, bro. You know?
yeah,
And it was like things that played back in my mind that made me
bro.
think,
Mhm. Yeah,
no,
bro.
that's what they were saying
No,
to
I know.
my
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
husband.
yeah.
But, I thought to myself, maybe you still have a torch. And
Mhm.
I just said to my husband, that's their business. It ain't got nothing to do with me. That was back in the day. You didn't have something with me back in the
See,
day. So
what you
if
did
it's
is that you made sure that you didn't keep it a secret. You know,
Mhm.
that transparency about something like that is, it's there. I think as I've got older, I care less about those type of things.
I know, but I
You
think
know?
that sometimes what you find is, if somebody has insecurities about themselves, you know, because I've seen this happen on several occasions. If somebody has insecurities about themselves and they find out that that person was an ex-partner or somebody that liked you or anything along that lines, that just causes them to think that there might be something. Do you get what I
Mm,
mean?
mhm.
And I remember there was a situation where a friend got married. The This guy was a family friend, always there, always at the settings, at the family dues. He was one of the groomsmen. Sorry, I don't know what's going on with my light today. He was one of the groomsmen, everything, because he was like a family friend, only to find out that that woman had a relationship with that guy for many, many years. The family all knew. The only person that didn't know was the husband.
See, I think it's
And I think
unfair.
that that's unfair.
Yeah, it is. See, once you know, and I think this is how I believe I was then and I am now, but I couldn't articulate it. I think it's only fair that because I know a lot of women, so I talk to a lot of women and everything else like that, you know. And some of the women that I had as friends, you know, I used to like them, you know. Some I had some with, some I never had anything with. I just like them because of the way that their personality, etc., etc. You know, they're a package, a good package, but I wasn't the one for them, you know.
Mm,
And so for some of them, that torch burned out long time. Yeah, that's in I see gone. They just became platonic. That, you know, you see them, and you know it's normal. That's your brethren, as
mhm,
opposed to yeah. You know, it's. I think if you've got someone like that, that you know that they've been your lover, that's the bit.
mhm.
Yeah, they're not your friend.
They're not your
They were
friend.
your lover.
They was, yeah.
I think it's important to loose that person and let them go. You
Yeah,
know,
I don't think that when you enter into a new relationship that that person from the past should be dragged in, even if they was best buddies with your dad, your sister, your cousin, your friend. You know, certainly not to be a groomsman. You know,
oh,
not to be
certainly not.
invited, not to be invited to all the family dues or whatever.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? How and I thought to the woman, how would you feel if that man was to have done that to you? That
right.
would have just caused so much contention, so
So
much
much,
hurt, so
so
much
much.
pain. It's
Yeah,
just mistrust. It's 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 one of those things where you say, "How now can I trust you?
mm,
How? How do I know that?" Because the thing is, when you have gone out and you've come home and that guy is in your house and you didn't know that they had something, how then in your mind do you sit down and think, I wonder if he, like when I was out, I wonder if he was having something with my wife. Because
yeah.
you're coming back home and that person's been there and you're thinking peace and safety because he's part of the family, as it were,
Mm,
but he
hmm.
isn't really. So that's something that you need to divulge. You, if that person is coming to family dues and everything, you need to make your current partner know that this is somebody who I was with. My family loves them to bits. I can't say to my family who
Don't
they
let
can
them
and
come.
can't have in
Hmm.
their home.
That's right.
And so, because of that, there might be times that he pops up. There might be
Yeah,
times that he
but
shows up with
he
family,
won't be, or she won't be in our house.
but they won't be in
Yeah,
our
they won't be
house.
in
But
our
you can't
house.
stop that person from
Hmm.
going to your mum's or your family member's house, you know,
Yeah.
and it might be a birthday party, it might be a christening or something, and that person's going to be there. But at
Hmm.
least you would have divulged that information to your current partner, husband, to be your husband or wife,
It is a question
and
for
then
you.
that makes them feel secure.
That's
That
right.
makes them now be able to make a conscious decision and say, do you know what? Maybe we shouldn't go to that gathering, or
Hmm.
at this moment in time, I feel away. So I will work through those emotions or whatever it is. I don't know what people will say or
Here's a
do, but
question. How
it's
do you think
important.
that they should greet that person if they were at a function and that person was coming over to
They
say
shouldn't be
hi?
hugging them up. They shouldn't be hugging them up. Mm-mm. And you know what it is? If that person, if you go and hug that person, your current partner is going to be thinking, that's a long hug, or that's a long stare, or that's a long hold of the
Hold.
hand. That's
Hmm.
why it's better that you do nothing. You're like, hi, you're right. You
Yeah.
do that. Do you get what I mean? Hi, you're right.
Because
Because
what
I've,
you're
I've
doing there
been
is
in it.
letting putting that person in their place. They've got to know their place. This is my husband.
Hi.
This is my
Yeah.
wife. That's your place. Yeah. There's no more than that. Yeah.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't be embracing that person. You can't. No kiss on the cheek, no hug, none of that. You just give the hand wave and that's it. Do you know what I mean? You can't be doing that. I think
And
that
that's for men as well.
on both sides,
Yeah.
absolutely on both sides.
Hmm.
I think that you're setting yourself up to experience issues in your relationship where the thing is, remember we was having a conversation and I said that you can sow seeds of insecurity into the hearts. Well, it will be in the mind first of all, but you can sow that into somebody that you're with, because if you do things that that makes that person feel insecure, and you constantly do things, all you're doing is watering that seed, and eventually that just gets really big, and it just gets uncontrollable. So you can be the catalyst for somebody else being insecure, and some people be like, oh, that's their problem. No, sometimes there are people that feed that insecurity, and that's what
Mhm.
is unfair, because if there are things that has happened in your past, that you now make a decision that you're going to be with this person in the future. And that's why I said, I think longevity and the length of the time that you're with the person, and the decisions that you're making long term, will determine what you're going to share with them about your past. Go on.
I was going to say that Millicent rather said, I totally agree that the spouse needs to know. Yeah. Um, she also goes on and says, not hugging them up. Yeah, for real.
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
know.
not hugging
What's the
them up.
last one?
Amen, 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 she said, and
And it
then
says
someone.
shake hands high and by. But you see, sometimes, right? You say shake hands, you have to be careful about how someone's shaking your hand. Yeah,
When
because
you're shaking it, and then they rest
you're
their hand on
shaking
top,
and they say, yeah, and they're
and, they,
holding it longer
and they're
than
holding
they
it.
need to. And then you feel away, or you draw it back. See, I personally, my
You
personal
remember
opinion.
sorry to interject. Do you remember that nasty pervy man that used to be in Lewisham all the time, and he used to try and take your hand, and then he's scratching your hand middle? Do you
No,
remember when
because
I was young?
when I have no man used to hug my
No,
hand.
I'm saying, do you remember when I was young and I used to
No,
tell
me
you
no no
about the
man.
pervy man?
I don't know no man.
He used to do that all the time. This time
Yeah,
he's an old man, and
and
he's there
putting his
saying,
feet scraping in the middle of your finger.
he's,
I know
scra-
you're
he's,
talking. Yeah,
he's scraping in the middle of your hand, and you're like, what are you doing? I didn't even know not what the man was doing. And it was mummy saying, him jam fresh and out of order. But sorry, that just took me about the shaking of the hand. Go on, go off track.
yeah. You see the lingering holding your hand, you know, or well, I won't go there with where I was gonna go, but some people just they're there and they will linger. They could rub your hand a particular way. Your
Hmm.
husband, your wife, you see it. I remember I went to this I went to a church up here, up north. When I think we were dating at the time. I think we were engaged, Catherine and I. And she introduced me to this woman before. So anyway, this particular day, Catherine's going down there, I'm going down, the woman stepped in front of me. Yeah. She said, oh, how are you, Maurice? Baka daka baka daka. I said, yeah, I'm fine,
What did you say?
And
Why
the,
is
the,
it?
the, oh no, sorry, I saw the car. I got a car in front of the gate, right? I saw my lights come on, yeah, as well. And it's like, hang on a minute, who's getting in the car? Yeah,
No, I was thinking to myself, why are you frozen? Because you was like,
yeah, because I'm wondering who's going into the car, but it's Catherine.
sorry.
Um, and then what she did, she said, oh, I just want to pray for you. And she reached and she hugged me. No, actually, she greeted me. She greeted me. She said, how are you? And then she greeted me with a hug. And then she said, I want to pray for you. And she had me clamped. Yeah. And if you're hugging too long, you can feel people's body and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Listen, I want to get this. And she's in the middle of prayer. And she's holding me. And she's holding. Do you know how many times I avoid her after that? You see when I see her, I've gone that way. Yeah. I don't even know if Catherine remembers or she saw. I see her, I've gone.
Mhm.
You see, I started to do that when I see, you're right, you know,
Yeah.
or you put your hand out and I can keep her out there, you know. You you can learn how to stick your hands in places and
Yeah,
prevent people from doing things,
absolutely.
you know.
I've done
It's
that.
all
I've
right
done
to
that
get
lots
your
of times.
elbows out. It's all
Where
right to
people's
pull your
coming to
hand back.
greet you, I've given them my hand.
Yeah,
Hi. You know what I mean?
I
Go
got
on.
do you want to read Lydia? And hello,
Yeah.
Lydia.
Um, I told my husband all my past, and he did as well. But for me was that I knew that he was the one. Okay.
Yeah.
So even if you know that the person is the one, I still think that there are things that needs not be said. Like for instance, some of you wasn't on earlier on, and you can watch it back, but we was talking about like things like how many sexual partners have you have? It's none of your business. You know, there are some people that divulge that to one another, and that's fine if it works for you. You might divulge everything because that person's the one and it works for you. Now,
And they're
if you
comfortable like that because they're kindred spirit. They're like
yeah,
you.
because
They're exactly
they're
how
both
you.
being transparent. They're both being
Yeah.
honest. They're both being transparent. But I think that those are people who are secure in themselves, that
Yes.
they don't really experience much insecurities. So insecurities come to us all at various different times. I think that that's somebody that is quite mature that will
Mm.
divulge, excuse me, excuse me, all of their past, all of their
And the person
fundamental
being able to.
things
Hmm.
in their past with their uh, partner to be, or their husband, and husband or wife, sorry, and they don't hold it against each other. That they're very mature about the fact that this is conversations that we're having to gain understanding about each other, about where each other's been, about each other's mindsets, about what we want for the future, all of those kind of things. Because what you want in the future, you definitely can say to somebody, this is what I was doing 5 years ago, this is the kind of relationship I was having 5 years ago, but this is now who I am today. Do you know what I mean? So there were women and men who were womanizers, you know, going around doing what they was doing, but they learned who they wanted to be with. They learned about themselves. They learned about what partner they want for the future. So they might feel comfortable divulging that and say, "Yeah, I did have lots of partners because I was unsure of who I was. I was insecure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I basically didn't know what I wanted, but I think because of all of those experiences, it enabled me to understand what I want and what I don't want, what I need and what I don't need. That kind of thing." But I think that that takes people who are very mature to be able to share a lot, and that person doesn't hold it against you, and that person is safe and secure with what you've actually told them. Go ahead, Paul. I can see you're itching to read. No, no,
Sorry,
you
Debbie.
muted your mic.
Yeah, no, I muted it
I thought
because
you
Catherine. No, no, Catherine was asking me something. You know.
I
Um.
thought that you was itching to read.
No, 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 no. I wasn't itching to read. Um. One of the things that when you was just talking there about being secure, I was insecure.
Mm-hmm.
And I would reach for. Listen, you tell me something, it's used to stay in there. I had a stage where I I wouldn't use the word crucified, but I beat my wife down with the things that I knew, where she was
Mm-hmm.
just being transparent and open. And as much as that I was being transparent and open, I never realized for me, how people say they're not insecure when they're single, yeah, because you got nothing to bounce off of,
Yeah.
as such, or you believe that you've overcome insecurities. I'm not insecure anymore. I'm all right. I'm all right. The moment that I was in a relationship, I then realized that I still had some traumas in my life and insecurities, that the things that was noted to me and given to me as um, transparency and openness to let me know, look, you know what, you're secure with me. I didn't take it like that. I took it negatively through my
Yeah.
insecurities and things like that. Like now, I can't stop apologizing because of who I was back then. You know,
Mhm.
now, I think that you can still have essence of it or elements of it to say, "Ooh, you see something," depending on what you're going through,
Yeah.
depending on what you're going through in your relationship. So if
Yeah.
in your relationship, things are not so great, you know, you might have a tendency to think, you're quite flirtatious over there, or, you know, look at him, he's always on the phone with some woman all the time. It depends on what you're going through that can
Yeah.
cause you for that insecurity to creep in again, if that be the case. You know, I just want to put that out there, and I think you have to deal with you as an individual when you realize that you have these complications, these insecurities in yourself as to why. You really need to get to the root of it. And if anybody out there that you've beaten your husband or your wife down with the things that they've done in the past, listen, you have to find a place to say, forgive me. You have to ask them to forgive you, and you have to work on that area of your life in order that you don't do that in future events. You know, when they forgive you, you take it. If it takes a
Absolutely.
while,
I think that,
it takes a while.
yeah, I think that you're absolutely right. When you're in a relationship and you share certain things with people and then they use it as ammunition against you, that can be extremely painful. But not only is it painful, it causes you to not trust them with information.
That's right.
And that information that you would have shared with them would have been, from my perspective, would have been important and probably quite productive for your relationship, the growth of your relationship, the maturity of your relationship. And if things are happening moving forward where you might have a fault or a failure or a fear or something, you will be more inclined not to share it with that person. And so
Yeah.
I've been very
Yeah.
conscious of the things that I share or I regurgitate, and say, well, this was something that happened in the past or something. I'm very conscious of what I say. However, you can share something, you can highlight something that somebody shared about themselves in the past and not use it as ammunition. It's how you use that information in a way that is, you have to be sensitive with that information. You
You do.
use it in a way that isn't going to tear them down, that isn't going
Yeah.
to make them feel insignificant or feel as though they have done something wrong, and you've actually weaponizing it,
That's
basically.
what I was going to say to you. I was going to say
um,
weaponizing. Yeah.
because the thing is, when somebody divulges that information to you, what they're saying is that I
That's
trust
right.
you with my
Yeah.
past.
Yeah. Yeah.
My past is something, for me personally, my past is very colorful. There's a lot
Yeah.
that's gone in my past. So if I'm now coming to you, I'm saying you're now at you're now at that level in my life where I can trust you. I don't divulge all this
Mm-hmm.
information to everybody.
Yeah.
And so, because I've done that with you, I now expect for you to handle that information with care.
Mm,
And if you
mm.
don't, I will find it very difficult
To,
to
and yeah,
divulge
and
more and more. And that's why I said I think that with you sharing things of the past, it definitely has to do with maturity. It definitely has to do with longevity of your
mm,
relationship,
mm,
and also how that person has handled some of the sensitive stuff that you have shared with them previously.
mhm.
If they haven't handled it with care, the tendency is to not really go deep. And
Yeah.
I think the worst thing is, let me give this scenario. The worst thing is that you've shared your past with someone, they've used it as a weapon against you. You now have withhold information from that person, and then
Yes.
they come to you and say, I can. They find out that information, and then they come to you and say, I can't trust you because you didn't share that information. I
And
think that that's really
yeah,
wrong,
yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
the reason why that person is now
Didn't
not
share.
sharing information
Yeah,
with you is
because you
because of what you
weaponized it.
did with
Yeah,
the previous information.
that's right.
So, and I've seen it, and I've seen it
Hmm.
played out in people's lives where they say, I can't trust my wife, I can't trust my husband. And I'm like, why? And then when it comes down to the crux of it, you use that information against them.
Yeah.
You didn't use that information, in the correct way. And now
Mm,
this information has come up, and all you've come and told me is, I found out this about my partner, and they was out of order and they was hiding it, and that I can't trust them. But then when we've dug up what has actually happened, this
the root.
person has now said, I find it hard to trust you. And this information has come up, and I've admitted, yeah, this is me. This is part of my past. And I never divulged that to you because I wasn't ready to divulge it to you. And the bit of information that I was, this is what you did with it. And
Yeah.
so we have to be careful how we handle people's information. If we want people to be transparent and share their lives authentically and openly with
Mm-hmm.
us, we have to be sensitive with that information and know
See,
that that person is sharing it with me because
mm-hmm.
they trust me. And
See,
let me just throw
go on,
this in there
finish.
as well.
Mm-hmm. You landed.
I had a conversation with someone recently. We was at a gathering, and I was sharing my life experience with this person, you know, longtime friends and everything. And that person was offended. They contacted me afterwards, and they was offended because they said, you know, that a number of people didn't know that about me. They didn't know certain parts of my life, and I had
Mm-hmm.
no idea because it was a very small, intimate gathering. So
Mm-hmm.
I concluded that these people, that
Knew.
I don't know them, but I kind of concluded that these people probably know you aspects of your life just like me. But I was
Mm-hmm.
sharing it from a place of I love this person. Me and them have walked many journeys together. Many of the situations are very similar, and they was offended because I shared parts of their past that they hadn't shared with other people,
Mm-hmm.
and they said, you know, I just didn't, I just haven't shared it with them, not because I was hiding it from them or anything like that. And I apologized. I said, I am sorry, I had no idea. I wasn't coming from a place of trying to make you look muddy or anything like that. I was just saying we've walked a similar path, and certain things that you've gone through, I've gone through, and so forth. And I said that, you know, all I can say is that I'm sorry. And I said that what you have showed me is that I'm a very open and transparent person. Like, before you're ready to throw stuff at me about me, I will tell you. Do you know what I mean? You ain't got nothing on me. So I will come and I will tell you certain things. My life is set up in a way that God uses me to share my story openly, authentically, with transparency, so that it can heal others, so it can
Mm-hmm.
help people to be inspired and motivated. That's my journey, that's my life, but it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that everybody is going to be sharing
Everybody.
their
Mm-hmm.
past.
Mm-hmm.
And so I identified in that moment that I shared some of her past that she wasn't willing to share, or wasn't yet ready to share, or never wanted to share with
Mm-hmm.
these individuals. And so I had to apologize for that, because I didn't see it like that at the time. And
Mm-hmm.
so it is important how we use that information. And if we use it in a way that is tearing someone down or making that person feel some kind of a way, it's for us to go back and apologize and say,
Mm-hmm.
you know what, that was not my intention to
Mm-hmm.
do that. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, that's what Shan B said. Hi, Shan. Good to see you on here. Amen. I like that you say we should ask for forgiveness, and I think that when you're asking for forgiveness, and that person can truly see that you're sincerely apologetic,
Hmm.
you have to release it, because it can cause bitterness.
Right.
It
Yeah.
will cause you to hold all this hostility and bitterness in
Resentment.
yourself, because you see, when it comes to the place that I can't talk to him anymore, I can't talk to her anymore, it starts to build up, you know.
Hmm.
And it is about releasing yourself, and again, looking at that person to see that, and I think it's quite easy to see when you're with somebody and they do certain things. You can see the insecurity, you can see the bitterness, you can see these things, they manifest themselves, it can't hide, you know. And I think that once you know sincerely that this person has asked for your forgiveness, you got to let it go. You
Hmm.
have to let it go, because it doesn't mean that you then let it go and then you got to give them all this information afterwards, because now they've realized, oh, I shouldn't, I did this and I'm sorry, you know. That's going to take time to build
Hmm.
that trust again, you
Hmm.
know, if it ever builds again.
Yeah.
And if it never
But it
builds
should
again,
it
then the
should
person,
build.
it
If you
should
let it
build.
go, if you let it go, it should build.
It
If you
should.
if
Yeah,
somebody
yeah.
is
I agree with that.
divulged something of your past, if somebody has weaponized it or whatever, and they've come back and they've apologized and they've been sincere, it will take time for that relationship, to that side of the relationship, to build back that trust.
Yeah,
However,
it should.
if you have done that, and this is one of the other things that um you know, I had a conversation with there were a couple where I've had conversations with them together and then individually, but you know, years ago they both was having an affair. Yeah, um, I would say cheating because they're not married. I think it's slightly different when you're not married. I think it's more cheating. Um, and both of them decided that they was going to remain together, but the woman was holding it against the man all the time.
But
So,
yet she cheated too.
but she cheated also. Yeah. And so I don't know which one came first.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean? Because you both cheated. The man said that you cheated before he did. You said that he cheated before you did.
the
Nevertheless,
fact remains is that
you
you
both
cheat. Yeah,
cheated.
yeah,
So both of you was on a level playing field, as it were. Yeah. So you both decided we're going to work at this relationship. But this woman couldn't get over the fact that he cheated. And you know what it was, which kind of might sound crazy. He cheated a little bit longer
mm,
than what
mm,
she did. And she said she did it off the back of what he did. And he said he did it off the back of what she did. You know what I mean? So, but
upside.
nevertheless, this was years ago. You both decided you're going to stay with each other now.
That's right.
And because you decided you're going to stay with each other, now you need to build back trust. Both of you
Yeah.
need to build back the trust.
Hmm.
Now, the woman was finding it difficult to build back the trust. I told her, jog on then, jog on,
Yeah,
because you're going to
yeah,
make his life a misery. And if you're making his life a misery, your life is going to be a misery. It's going to be a
that's right.
mess. And she was like, no, I'm going to forgive. I'm going to forgive. Anyway, we're talking probably 10, 15 years ago, something like that. It might be probably about 13 years ago. And all now, you're still going through the same issues.
Wow.
He's cheated.
Again,
He's cheated. And then now you've just found out that she's cheated. And I'm like,
should have left it alone. They didn't. You see,
you just
they didn't
you guys.
sincerely mean. They got caught. Yeah, whichever, however you got caught, but you really didn't mean what you
But
said
you
when
know
you said
what? It was
it.
because there was the unforgiveness there, and the
Mm,
fact that she didn't trust him, and everything that you were saying and doing was saying that you don't trust him. You don't want him to go nowhere, can't hang out with his friends. If he don't pick up the phone, you've got attitude and all manner of stuff. Do you get what I mean?
mm,
And I actually said, this is quite toxic. This is quite
yeah,
toxic. Now I speak truth. Sometimes people don't like to hear the truth. And I did say to them years ago, if this is I said it to them separately, I said it to them together. I said to the man, if you feel as though this woman has got you by your short and curlies and this is not working for you, then you should move on.
yeah.
Because she's
But
not gonna
I
she decided that she was gonna stay, but she was gonna make your life a misery.
mhm.
Yeah.
She couldn't ever get past that fact, you
Right.
know. But it's funny, I've been in a situation where someone has cheated and I've cheated, and you know, and stayed, and it is very difficult. Obviously, not
Hmm.
with them now, because it's difficult to deal with, especially when their lifestyle still leaves that door of doubt open. Yeah,
Right.
you have to close that
Right.
door.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. You have to do
yeah,
something differently
yeah,
in
you
order
do,
to make that
and
person feel secure.
that's why sometimes talking about your past. I mean, I'm transparent, so I'm talking. I don't. Who's going to crucify me? Who's going to beat me down? I did what I did, and what? Yeah. No, that's how I look at it. What can you do now? I did
Hmm.
what I did. I'm talking to you. For me to tell you, I'm not telling you because I'm going to go and do that. I'm showing you who I was and my mindset and where I was and everything else like that.
Hmm.
And I think that has been good for me because it's been therapeutic for myself. It's helped me a lot. The more I spoke about myself and I saw myself, it's like a mirror. You're doing what you're doing. Is that the right way? Come on, Pete. You know, come on, Maurice. Well, now I'm Maurice, so it's like it's funny. Paul had all that history, you know,
And
But Maurice said,
that's why
yeah,
now Maurice is squeaky
yeah,
clean.
yeah, because him squeaky clean.
He's squeaky
Paul,
clean.
Paul is naughty.
Paul was
Paul is naughty.
nasty.
Yeah. No, I never
Nasty.
said that. I never said
I
that.
said that.
Yeah?
Paul was
Don't say, no,
nasty.
yeah,
I still
Deborah
believe too
was.
anyway.
Yeah. But you know, the fact remains is that I recognized where I was. I recognized that I needed to let my wife know where I was coming from. That's my personal opinion. And where she was telling me where she was coming from. And it's not everything that I there's some deep stuff. I didn't then take those things and beat her with it, but what I'd used was enough, And I think we were caught in then. I may have said something since we married. I may not even know, because for me, I'll always examine myself and come to the place to apologize. I'll always examine myself and say, you know what, come on, you said that out of anger, and some things you're never going to be able to take back. You have to be careful what you say to that person out of anger. And when I said what I said, it was actually out of anger. I was angry, and I can't take it back. I've reeled it out already. So it's learning to bridle your tongue, learn to what the information that and even if it's case that it come and look you straight in your eye, the situation that she told you or he's told you, you cannot come and use it. You cannot come and beat them down with what has happened in the past. So you have to be, from my perspective, be careful what you tell at those stages, those early stages, those middle stages, those courting stages, but be honest. Be
Yeah.
honest. If they're
But you
asking
know
you,
what?
I don't want to talk up. Let me just land this. Sometimes it's okay, not even sometimes, it's okay to say, I will talk to you about that, but not yet. Yeah. I'm not comfortable enough to say that yet. But we will talk about that at some stage, and do it when you're comfortable enough to say, you know what, I had 50 boyfriends, yeah, or 100 girlfriends. Be comfortable when you're
It's good
comfortable.
to be counting. That's a lot of people.
Yeah, you're good to be able to count. I can't count.
I
I
wouldn't.
think
I would be counting
I
that.
can only count up to 10.
Exactly. I would be counting that. I think after people probably been with 10, they're just like, "Ciao, holy."
Yeah. Quite a few.
What
But
I was going to ask you, I was going to say, so if for instance you've been, you're with somebody who you didn't know was going to end up being your life partner, and they was just a thing, and you was just like blah, 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 because they're just a thing. What do you do then? Because that person has got all of this information about you, and you didn't know that it was going to go past being a
more than likely, you'll have 101 things on them too, because you'll be comfortable enough to be talking and say, I did that as well. You done it as well. What? Well, I didn't know you like that. So more than likely, you've got enough information on them as well. So, and if you don't have any information on them, and they decide that this is, or you both decide that this is going to be more of a long-term thing, more than likely, you actually become good friends already.
Yeah, because the fact of the matter is that if you knew all of that past, and some of
Yeah.
it was dark, some of it was shady, some of it was dodgy or whatever, and you
Yes.
still wanted them to be a life partner, then that means that you are able to look at how they was and say, I still want to be with them with their flaws and their failures and all of the rest of it, warts and all, and that's fine. Some people are okay with that. I think that it's important for people to understand that, all of us, we all have a past.
Yeah.
And because we all have a past, some are more colorful than others, and it's for us to feel comfortable enough to share and not feel under pressure to share just because somebody else has shared as well.
Yeah,
Just
that's
because
right.
somebody else has said, I don't think it's right for somebody to say, oh, I've slept with 50 people. How many have you slept with? And
Yeah,
you
I
say,
don't agree.
well, you know, I don't feel comfortable sharing that. And they're saying, but I shared. That's your
Yeah,
business.
that's your
That's
business.
your business.
You
If you choose to share,
Mhm.
that's totally down to you. But don't have that expectation that that person is going to share the same information back, because they
Mhm.
may not, they may not feel comfortable doing that at that stage
That's exactly right.
in the relationship.
Mhm.
However, you might find 5 years time they're willing to share that. It's not something that they, there's a lot of people who have a past and they're not comfortable with their past. They
Yeah.
haven't, they haven't made peace with their past. They're still challenged by their faults and their
Mhm.
failures. And
Mhm.
so I don't think that you ought to pressurize somebody in order to do that, or even use manipulative tactics in order for them
Mhm.
to divulge that to you. And then, you know, um, trying to make them feel bad because they're not sharing all that information with you
Mhm.
either. I think that you ought to allow that person to feel the freedom
Time.
to be able to share their past with you, because when
Mhm.
they do that, that will make good for a solid relationship, because
Mhm.
they see that you are trustworthy and they feel comfortable enough to now share the challenges or whatever their past looked like, however colorful it was. They're now comfortable to share that with you. So we're going to be wrapping up. Is there any?
It reminds me of this. I heard this sketch one day that said, "We are question my phone. Y'all police." Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
You know.
police.
So
It's true.
Shambi said, "Amen." Preached something that I was saying at the time.
Hmm.
Um, Phil says, "If you have nothing good to say, say nothing." You know.
Absolutely.
Um, you finished the last two.
Um, Great question. What if it doesn't work, but you've already given them so much information? And then Shambi also said, "Lo, that's your problem." So
Go
if
next.
you've already given them, it's what if it doesn't work, but you've given them all that information? Then you've given them all that information. You felt comfortable at the time to share it. You could have all been drunk and shared it. That's your business. You know what I mean? Your business. You can't take it back. Do you know what I mean? You know, when people are drunk, lose their inhibitions, and they start saying
Start
what they're
talking about everything, and you know what? You know, yeah,
drunk.
yeah. Listen,
but
listen.
but the thing is,
Funny.
you can't take it back.
You can't take
Just
it.
as much as you can't take back pictures that you put on the internet where you strip off your clothes and stuff like that. You can't take it back. It's out there in the public domain.
Yeah,
So
live
it
with it.
is what it
You
is,
live
and you
with
have
it.
to own that.
Yeah.
You have to own that. And if that past comes back to haunt you, you have to own it. You have to claim it, name it, shame it,
And walk
whatever
away from it, because you see
you it's
that pressure,
important.
that pressure of what you did. See, the thing is, and I'll come down off of this. I'll land this straight away. Whatever you did when you felt to do it. Yeah, and
Mhm,
you did it. Yeah, you didn't feel no shame, no guilt, and if you did feel shame and guilt, you still did it. Okay, who can beat you up for your past?
mhm.
There's nobody
Only
that can beat
you.
you up for your past. Only you. That's right. You did it. You made those choices to do it. You chose to give that information, and that's it. You understand me? If you're no longer with that person, it's gone. And if they want to share it with somebody else, you know what? Someone was telling me that, you used to sleep with like two men all the time, and they were best friends. So what? Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
Mhm,
That was me then. That's not who I am now. Yeah, I
mhm,
value myself then. I didn't have much value then, or I had value, but I wanted to experience it, so I did it.
mhm,
Yeah, and now I don't do it. So I'm what? Who can hold you? Yeah, and that's the thing. What I don't allow. I don't allow anybody to hold me to what I did. Yeah,
mhm,
and that's what it is. Whatever you shared, you shared. If it's hurt you, and yep, it's not good, and they've apologized profusely, whatever else it is, take it. Yeah, take
mhm,
it. Move forward. Cannot keep beating the same drum because they did it. What can you do?
mhm.
What can you do? Yeah, you're
But it's
beating the
just
same drum.
like
What's going to change?
when something comes out in the public domain, um, of these celebrities and so forth, and they bring it up, and then by next week they're bringing up something about somebody else.
That's right.
It's come up. You deal with it. You keep it moving.
As
And
Shen says, name it, claim it, and walk away from it if need be.
absolutely, yeah,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
ultimately there's nothing that you can do, and if you shared it for whatever reason at that time and you thought that you and that person's going to be life partner, trust me, me and my best friend, we have
You're gonna
conversations.
land this now, yeah?
Yeah, and we say to each other, "Oops, batteries run low." We say to each other, "Listen, if I die first, you better take that to your grave. Yeah, if you die first, I take it to my grave. You know, because that's how life can be. Sometimes you could have done some stupidness when you're young. I've got
Yeah,
my best friend. I've known her since she's 11, and we've done some stupidness, and so there are certain things that you just say, it is what it is. It is what it
is
is.
what it is.
It is what it is. So
Mm-hmm.
I hope that this is blessed you guys. Hasn't been that
Mm-hmm.
much
It
chat in the
does.
background. I suspect that people are
Yep.
probably listening but doing something else or whatever, or you're just listening intently, just
Thank you so much for
taking
joining
the
us.
information.
You
Thanks
know,
for being on here though. There is a lot that can come from this conversation, but I think that we did it justice. What did you guys think? You think we did it justice? Do you kind of feel a little bit more about whether you need to share all information? Maybe it's just open your eyes to what you should share, what you shouldn't share. Might be entering into a relationship and you might be thinking about that. I don't think I'm at that stage where I'm going to share stuff. Or you might be that person that has thrown that person underneath the bus and now
hmm
needs to go back and apologize and ask them to forgive you.
yep.
Whatever the weather is, I hope that this has blessed you. Hope that it has given you some food for thought. And yeah, we will be doing again next week. Do you want to read that quickly,
Indeed.
Paul?
Yep. Shan says that it has blessed me. Thank you both. You're so welcome, Shan.
You're
So good to
welcome.
see you here.
Absolutely.
And travel Buffett as because if God doesn't hold the past against you, don't care what man thinks, however, or woman thinks, however, um, there are consequences for the things that we've done in the past. There is I wait. Why did you have to write that? Repercussions.
No
Repercussions.
repercussions.
Yeah, yeah. That's one of my words. That it's like
Guys,
repercussion. No, see, Recu-
repercussions.
repercussions. There
Repercussions.
you go. Yeah,
My,
I like that. I have to challenge myself with certain words to get it
yeah,
out
me
because it
too.
says something different in my head. But yes, there is ultimately um uh judgment, and judgment don't start with man. Judgment is with God, you know,
Hmm.
and that's a whole different subject in itself. Live good, live for God, give your life to Him. I will say that. I will say it because I know where I'm coming from. I wouldn't be the type of person that I am now to be able to talk to you guys and translate without Him in my life. Jesus is the way. Yeah, believe it or not, He is the way, the truth, and the life. Good night, all. All right.
So,
Good to
guys,
see you all.
have a wonderful evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are,
Yeah,
wherever you're watching
exactly.
it back from. And yeah, we'll catch you next week with another.
Another subject. We've got one already.
No, you meant to say another gym time. That's what you
Oh,
meant to say.
another gym time. Sorry, I was just with
That's-
another get
We
your
have to practice
motivation.
that. We have
Yeah,
to
we do,
practice.
isn't it? That's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
only script bit that we need to do, yeah?
yeah. We'll have to come off with a rap in it with a GYM.
Yeah, we might talk about the lion and the lamb. Sorry, leave it alone.
Leave it
See
alone.
you guys
Leave it
later.
alone. Right. See you later. Have a good
Bless
evening.
you. Bye
Bye.
bye. Love you, Deb. Take care, yeah?
Bye. I'm going to put on some
Yeah.
music.
Okay.
Chill out. Bye.